Hey everyone, welcome. Jeff Reinholtz again with data with the MSP Insights. Today, I'm unbelievably excited to be joined by one of the greatest personalities I've had the pleasure to meet in this journey, Big Mike, joining me from Total Solutions. Big Mike, how we doing today?
Everybody,
My friend.
it's awesome.
So thanks for jumping in with us today. As you and I've had an opportunity to get together a couple times, chat a little bit about your journey, your career. I think probably one of the biggest things I went to was saying, my gosh, where do we start, right, in your journey? Because I think you've got really just such a good, rich, fascinating story from idea to concept to what you're doing right now in your business, the positive impact you have on so many people, your employees, your strategy on how you grow people in your organization, but also what you're doing in your community, which I think is really great when you think about purposeful and as well thought leaders in any industry. So I'd love to take a little bit of time and ask you to share a little bit about your story from someone that started in tech and grew into what we know today is really a big brand. When I think about central New York and everything that you're doing in and around your area, it's really bigger than just an MSP today. But I'd love for you to share a little bit about your story.
Yeah, and I think we became an MSP. That was never our original intent. It didn't exist. That wasn't something that existed. And I think the other interesting thing is, given my age and the generational being a 70s kid, half of my high school had no computers. There was no internet. There was no any of that. And it's an interesting evolution that you go to. And computers for me turns into be an accident, not to be the real thing, right? I ended up just being fortunate enough to work for, MetLife, work for this large company, the midnight guy, because that gave me the most time to work out during the day. And that was it. That was the motivation. It was great pay. Nobody bothered me. There's nobody around. I could do what I wanted. But then the first of the PC networks come along and they get all their maintenance done at night. And well, there's a midnight guy. Okay, well, then they start training me, and I go, well, this is kind of interesting. And I start to break things and start to fix things and kind of evolve. And then through attrition, become this guy that they're like, well, you need him to maintain this stuff. So we're going to bring him on days. And then we kind of get going. But for me, it was always big infrastructure. And I think the big infrastructure part is what lays the foundation, this idea of data centers, ISO certifications, starting to understand how we were moving data, these really, really old methodical processes to data management because of the limitations of the tech or the scale or the physical scale of the tech. And then as the dot-com bubble burst, you're sitting here, Jeff, I come back to upstate New York I was living in the North Shore of Massachusetts, come back to New York to live with my family to take care of some health issues here, because that's always been the center. I've always been very blessed that way. And realize just one conversation after another at the diner is some small business that still has a firewall, still has switches, still has cabling, still has PCs, still has security concerns. I'm like, oh, this is all the stuff we deal with. But it's all this big. But to them, it's a mountain. And do your thing. And then you realize you came up here and you're 6'6" and you're 375 pounds and you're Big Mike. So, and that kind of worked. And that was you could say Total Solutions then and no one would know what it was, but if you said Big Mike, everybody is what it is. And now I guess I'd say it's a 50-50, one or the other, and you do your thing. And that's what is like, hey, we can make a way I've got a gift for gab, so I can talk to Joe, the business owner, and take firewall and break it down to a function. And he stops worrying about it and he starts to trust me. Now, I didn't understand that it was relationship building, right? That's all I was doing, and building trust. But then it became a thing. And then one day I realized, oh, now I've got a bigger problem, because they think it's really cool that I have their data in my house under my mattress. I'm like, no, this is a terrible idea. You don't want this. You want it to be somewhere else. But those solutions, frankly, didn't exist. And so that trust gave me the foothold and the faith to take the plunge. And then as technology worked, and everybody in the MSP space knows this, it's really only been the last few years where there wasn't a whole lot of black magic involved in what we were doing. We were selling a whole lot of stuff that frankly didn't work or didn't work well. And then I think that's probably the used car field for some of the MSPs that we have to recover from. And that's a different conversation. But this idea that you're selling things that don't deliver and trying to fake it till you make it. And some organizations put the time into really fix it, and some people didn't, and you have to do your thing. But anyway, that's the foundation part of it. When you're one of 300 mics in an organization, you get lucky get lucky to be the Big Mike, because all of a sudden somebody made a differentiator for you that you hadn't realized yet, and therefore it kind of stuck with me. So and it's a brand that we live with today, that we, for better or for worse.
So it's interesting when you hit on the idea of knowing the brand, because I think what's been unique for me to hear about your story is you've been front of the organization, right? Where you've had that willingness to go out and solve problems for people. And ultimately, I think you do a really nice job of just simplifying how you can
Thank
come
you.
up with successful business outcomes.
Yep.
And being able to put a face to owning it. I think one of the things you had talked about when you and I had first met was a client trying to figure out where the value was in something. And you said, hey, if you don't see the value, it's not going to work. It's not going to work for me if it doesn't work for you, right?
Right.
And I don't know as if a lot of leaders would take on that ownership to not only have that flexibility, but also having the transparency and availability to go, I'm right here. I'm the CEO. What do you need me to do? I'm going to come up with the right solution for you.
Yep.
And I think where that becomes ultimately very endearing, and when I hear that story, it's the same methodology that's deployed by Zappos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Zappos, huge brand that talks about CX, driving amazing experiences for everyone that engages with Zappos, because they give their frontline employees the autonomy to make those decisions to make sure that their clients have great experiences. And again, you and I were just joking prior to this. I was like, my gosh, you have literally split the atom on building a brand that most enterprise organizations wish they could build over decades, and they're still trying to figure it out, but you're doing it, right? That's really, to me, on my end, I think it's really fascinating to see what you've done, right down to, I can't stop looking at that shirt, right? Because it's the Big Mike red, right?
Don't forget the cuffs. So we get to pick on you because you're wearing blue, right? And you and I had this conversation. When we started to make a company, everybody's blue. I mean, everybody looks like planet Earth. It's unbelievable. And I said, I don't want to look like everybody in the office. But I've literally had the privilege of being on the phone with a client who's called in back when I was taking calls on service desk. And I said, hey, can you do me a favor? I know one of my guys is there. Can you stand up and look for a red shirt? Because that guy's mine. And just tell him I'm on the phone. That'd be great. And we can help you out with it. Or every logo, every piece where there's a sticker on the back. This concept that comes from my staff, where they put the sticker on the back of the monitor, a little round circle that's got our logo in it, so that when a person at the medical office is sitting on the other side, they see our logo just discreetly in the corner of the monitor. And I would get people now today with Instagram and all sorts. I get people sending me pictures and sending all this stuff to us all the time. Bang, what it is, and we joke about it, but we talk about, hey, I've got the masks, I've got the stuff, but right down to our cabling being red. So we made this decision one day. We thumbed through a catalog and picked, this is the color. We're going to go with this, and we're going to be red from now on. And I've evolved as I've gotten more into sales and operations. I keep the brand with me in some way. It's all a little bit different, but and represent what that is. But that tie, that community element, that piece to keep the conversation going, or to get the feedback from your team, or the ability for your idea, like I said, for the monitor, for them to do that, is something you have to learn. When I was really, really small, every sale was important, right? Every opportunity was hours worked, was revenue made.
Yep.
And that was critical. Obviously, that's how we eat. And I had a client, I had a large distributor, get a ransomware, early phase ransomware, and just get crushed. And it wasn't something that we had done wrong. It merely was something new, and the software wasn't prepared for it. The tools weren't ready for what they were going to do. And we spent 2 nights, from a Friday to a Sunday, putting this guy back together, bringing in sub sandwiches, me and the 2 guys that worked for me, literally rebuilt all his desktops, put everything right back together, got him clean of what was going on. And he just kept looking at me like, what's it going to cost him? And I had an interesting thought that I don't think I fully understood at the time, frankly. And I said to him, look, I've really been trying to get you to buy this mail filtering firewall thing that you've just been pushing back on me about, and that because it's newfangled and whatever. I'm going to do this work for free. Just buy the device and trust me. And he just looked at me. And he said, well, I never not trusted you. And I said, well, just do this, because if you're going to invest money where your business is going to succeed the most, this is an accident. This is terrible. I hate that someone did this to you. Let's go. If you got mugged on the street, I would give you a ride to the police station and not charge you. So let's just call it what this is, right? And so same thing. You just got mugged. I feel bad. Let's work together and get it done. never expecting to hear a phone ring from that. That wasn't the intent. It just wasn't. These are good people. It was a family business, and we just wanted to get it back together. And they were more than faithful to me anytime I tried to sell something. And that was it. But there's never a sale. And we don't do anything with it. We've never been sales people. We've always been service people. And again, didn't necessarily always know that deliberate intent was to be that. We wanted to serve. How can I serve you? Oh, you don't see password complexity? You're Joe Bakery. You don't think password complexity is critical to you? Okay. Then let's not prioritize that for your business. Ultimately, you pick what's right for your business, but I can't be remiss and not bring the point forward of what I think is relevant in the industry. So ultimately, you're taking accountability for your business just like I do mine. And it was a very interesting thing. I don't think we said it this clear, right? It wasn't as polished as that, but it was a thing. And you earned remarkable trust. I mean, we talk about attrition. We practically don't have that. People sell, die, or transition in some other way. We just straight up retire. We really don't really lose clients, and we lost one really short. Jeff, we lost one year because we couldn't frankly keep up with the work. We were just too small.
Okay.
And they finally said they're going to go here. And I said, okay, well, the 3 vendors in the market don't do this one at all. This one can't do it. So you got to pick this guy. And they said, oh, no, we picked the one you said we shouldn't pick. And I said, well, that's a terrible idea. You really shouldn't do that. And 30 days later, the phone rings and the guy says, hey, it's so-and-so. Can you do the work now if I say go? I'm like, what happened? And he says, here's the deal, Mike. We never not trusted you. Because it was never a trust issue. It was we were frustrated. We couldn't get, you're holding up our business. And I said, I understood that. So I got out of the way. And he's like, yeah, but we've never trusted these people. And I'm like, okay. And so fortunately, we were in a position to take it on, and we did it. And they've been with us ever since. Don't look back. In fact, their favorite saying is they love the fact that they always feel like they're our only customer. And I don't know how we do that, but I hope we keep doing it.
Well, I think it's interesting on how they view the relationship. And again, I've got to underline the term relationship there, because a relationship only exists with the keyword that you just hit on, trust.
Yep.
You first build trust that gives you the opportunity to have a relationship, right? Like business is much like a significant other, right? Starts with trust.
Absolutely.
That person can look across at you and say, you know what, it's time for a relationship. And, you know, I think one of the things that jumps out to me again from some of our discussions that we've talked about is your investment in your people. Like, I love your strategy where you come out and say, okay, everyone, if there's somebody new in my organization, you do a beautiful job giving them a salary where they're not only just living, but they're actually thriving, right? I've always said in life, there's 2 things you can do. You can survive or thrive. And you create an opportunity for people to thrive, actually spend in the community, be successful, create something for their family. But I also loved your red shirt strategy. Would you mind sharing a
Yeah.
little bit about the red shirt? Because
yeah,
again, you're winning.
Yeah.
You're winning the brand.
That's relevant, especially for your sports background. So, actually, Jeff, here. So when you come work for me, we're just filing these as we speak. When you come work for me, you red shirt like you would for a college team, right? So you red shirt. So there it is. You come to work for me. I don't care what position you got hired for. This is what you're wearing for 90 days, right? And so you put this on. Every one of my customers knows, not to ask you a question, believe it or not, it's been that long. They're like, oh, that guy can't help me. Let me go to this person over here. And you're in training. So 90 days. Two things are happening here. First of all, you're recognizing that we know that you don't know everything, and we're going to get you on board, right? We want to get you to become part of the team. Second of all, we're saying we want you to value being part of our team. So in 90 days, we do a couple of very unique things. You get every single benefit we have to offer. There's no vesting periods, waiting periods, holdback periods, and it's it. Here you go. Here's your retirement. Here's your stuff. We're done. We'll talk to you later. That's all minutia to me. You got to go live a life. You got a family. You got your things. I want to be respectful to you. You be respectful back to me. And then we sign your shirt, have a little ceremony, and then you get your Total Solutions gear. You get your polo shirts and your jackets and your pullovers and your Yetis and all your stuff. You're one of us now. So you make 90 days. You're part of the team. You're in the family. We're done. You've got just as much input as someone who's been here 10 years now. You got a chance to say, I don't like this, or I want that, or whatever, because you've been watching and listening and being very humble for 90 days. And now we're ready to take you into our circle. And we've been wildly successful with that. It weeds out the people that aren't, they think you're joking.
Yeah.
Literally, you have people come in and go, well, that's really a thing. And you're like, at one point in time when I handed you 5 t-shirts, did you think that it wasn't really a thing? It's always surprising to you. And it becomes a deal. One of the other things that we do that you and I haven't talked about is my fiance Barbara and I, wife this year, as long as she doesn't change her mind. The thing that we do is when you come onto the team, we take you and your significant other, whatever, to dinner, so that you know that we're a unit, that we have a good foundation. We're together. It's, you deal with me every day, but as far as I'm concerned, it's our business and our thing, and that you understand where we're at. And because you also know Barbara is the director of our corporate giving, we have a very deliberate giving strategy back into our community, and there are certain benefits that come to that we share with our staff, like, hey, you're a member at museums and zoos and things and stuff like that. And so they get to see that, oh, indeed, we're in lockstep. We're good there, and we respect them. We're not mingling with them at work and then not spending. Hey, I shop at the same grocery store you do.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, let's sit down and break bread. Let's talk about what's going on and just understand the struggles you have in your life every day a little bit and see what's going on. So yeah, I've been very grateful for that too. Barb's great. She took to it like swimming. She was really good about it. Like, hey, we're going to do this now. She's like, oh, that's new. Okay. So.
But I think it's what's nice to hear too is you bring people on board because you do, I think, a very nice job. And again, it's unheard of in your industry to take 90 days to focus on someone's upskilling and building comfortability, right, within an organization. You hit on it before, right? In when a lot of men and women first get into the MSP game, people take on the approach, if I'm not billing, I'm not making money.
Right.
So, you think about this, you to me are always playing the long game, not the short game.
Correct.
Where to me, it's taking the approach of how do I invest in somebody in the long game? They feel comfortable. They feel a part of something much bigger, right? They're growing their career. They're understanding. They're also understanding that as they go through these first 90 days, they do kind of get themselves into a mode where you have a very strong voice that can share and continue to contribute to something that, again, is continuing to be really about the people, right? That's the piece that I think is really fascinating on how you approach that.
I want to share with you. I'm sorry.
No,
let me share this with you, because this tidbit I know is very specific to us, because I get funny looks when I talk about other IT type related things.
Yep.
So we've mentioned before, we practice lean. I won't go down that rabbit hole. We don't have enough time, but very much like Toyota, or we talked before about Paul Akers and Fast Cap out in Bellingham, Washington. We do something that's really interesting every day, and that is we start our day at 8, and from 8 to 8:30, my team can work on getting ready to work, getting ready for their day, getting, whatever they need to get situated, sharpen their pencils, get their water, get their coffee, get settled in, and make an improvement that they want to change. They don't like the inventory system. They don't like that note they left somewhere. They want to work on some capacity there. And then at 8:30 every day, we meet as a team, the whole company. So this is time cut out, 8:30 to 9. We're talking about what was wrong yesterday, what didn't go well, were there any errors, what could we do better, what should we watch out for today, etc. And it's one of the few times where we're talking, and ironically, one of the few times we're talking now with COVID, something unexpected, where you're not talking just during the day about tickets. You're actually getting a chance to go, oh, how are you, Joe? Oh, you got a sniffle, your allergies are better. Humanizing and trying to maintain your culture while you're all doing what you and I are doing right now.
Yeah.
And we do that every day. And it's definitely got a benefit to us maintaining what we're doing and staying distributed and working in whatever the new normal is.
Yeah.
And doing our thing. And that's an investment. There's an hour poured into everybody every day. But at the same time, when you think about that person taking care of their own problem for a few minutes versus coming and interrupting myself or another leader or two of us, that cost really adds up versus simply empowering your people to address their issue. When I walk into a customer, we haven't shared this, when I walk into a customer, I walk into the customer, oh, this is Sally or Joe or whoever. He or she does all the data entry for all of our online orders, and he or she is sitting on a broken chair with a 8-year-old laptop. I'm done. I'm not here for the customer. I'm done. And I will literally say, I'm sorry, we're probably not going to be a right fit for you. And they will look at you and they'll say to you, I don't understand. And I go, look at how you treat the person who puts your entire business's cash flow into your system. And if you don't respect them enough to invest in just their regular daily comfort, you're never going to believe in anything that I'm going to do for you.
Mm.
And that is a true story. We had a customer like that. And here is a 60-year-old woman sitting on a broken chair with an old laptop, maybe a boat anchor style laptop. And I'm like, the bezel and the monitor is that thick,
Yeah.
and you're just like, it isn't about how much you're going to spend. It's not that. You don't believe in it. So now I'm going to have to spend all my energy convincing you. And that's exhausting and boring and frustrating. And well, I'm good. I'm all right with that. And we walk out. And when I picked up an outside salesperson, she had a terrible time with that. Oh, these people aren't a fit. Even to go so far as to say whether or not you get that resistance, we've stopped now. When I start pushing,
Yep.
when I'm pushing the customer and they're no longer making decisions because they're engaged, we're done. We'll say we're probably not the right fit for you, and that's okay. What do we focus on? Simplify, standardize. Everything becomes stable. It's just that simple. It's just how it works.
So it's interesting you just went there, because again, I'll hit the rewind in some of our initial conversations, because what jumped off the map to me about your business too is you're so in tune to understand who is your ideal customer, right? Who fits the business really, really well, because I think that that's generally another aha moment in maturity for an MSP or any business to go through, where first you're like, again, your words, I got to bill. If I'm not billing, I'm not making money. And then all of a sudden you're growing and you're growing, and all of a sudden you're best understanding who is your brand, who are your people, right? What type of work do your people want to do? And also, do our clients and prospects value what you bring to the business, right? It's this relationship where you want to collaborate. And again, I'll use the term collaborate because that goes with relationship with the right client, that somebody wants to lean in and say, Big Mike, give me direction. What do you think? Where do I need to go? Right? Versus trying to validate everything you want to do. I think it changes, again, the term relationship on how the client business relationship actually works. Now, I will hit you, though, back to one big point that you went on, because I'm going to go stick with it, because I love how you approach this, is your process. Because to me, it is specific, it's methodical, it's accurate. I see you leveraging data solutions that helps empower your team to become very specific on amazing client experiences for your customers, because you hit on it. You don't lose people, right? You don't lose people. I'd love for you to share a little bit about how your team, your people are leveraging some technology within data that ends up delivering great experiences.
Yeah. So our whole world revolves around the Autotask environment, and what I don't do a lot of automation that's client facing. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in a lot of form mails. I don't believe in a lot of other things like that. I believe in clear communication. Says, hey, I have your request. Hey, your request is closed. Hey, your request needs attention. We allow for portal interaction where they want it, but otherwise it's you're talking to Joe, Sue, Tim, Irene, whoever it is. We want you to talk to a body. We're here to help you. We want to get you done, get done what you want. And so using Autotask to be able to do that, to track its time, to be able to get the analytics, the metrics, understand what's in the pipeline, what's going through the pipeline, what's frankly getting old. Most recently, we were telling stories. Clients are like, wow, you guys are tenacious with this service request. Well, I'm like, I don't know. You don't go to Dunkin' Donuts and order a coffee and say, I'll come back after I run down the street, right? Because if you did, they keep calling you and, hey, your coffee's here. And now you're going to get it and it's cold and it's going to be a bad experience and you're going to ding me for that on my survey. That doesn't make any sense. Order the coffee when you'd like it. Don't call me and tell me that you're thinking on Thursday you'd like to install software, because I'm going to hound you every day to get it scheduled because it's in my hopper, right? But that visibility to be able to see that and see where we're working on. Right now, we're currently looking at our metrics, in fact, in Autotask, and trying to compare them to our phone statistics and starting to understand call volume, call length of time as it relates to billable time and service, to understand what things we could potentially automate to enhance, give my team members back more time. And this is funny, team members back more time, not for my clients, but to do development for themselves. So if I can streamline certain things, I can get back to here. My goal right now for the next quarter is get them 90 minutes back to be able to take Autotask training, in fact, so we can look at ways to do better automation for our own operation, or better metrics for our own operation. So that's it. We're hoping by the end of May, I can give 90 minutes every week to every team member to take training, dedicated, no call time, just doing their thing. and leverage that. The billing component of it, I have to tell you though, by far, the automation of billing, the ability to track licensing, the ability to keep that buttoned up and integrated has been essential to us being able to look at and forecast recurring revenue in a very clear way that maybe like a QuickBooks just, unless you really modify your P&L, which we've done as well, but you really, that ability to look at that part is key, or the profitability of a client. So how chatty is a client? What are you billing for a client? What's going on for a client? Is that client still a good fit for you? Or better yet, why are they so chatty? What are we not fixing? What is not being addressed for them? Because they frankly would probably like to be, the whole idea of our mantra, making IT easy, is just that. If you ever have to go, I hope this prints, we're doing something wrong. And if you ever do that, by the way, you should call me. but if anybody ever does that, you should call me. But that's our goal, like to make that go away. And I think Autotask being the premise of that allows us to handle all of that, from tracking assets to how we deliver things in a very consistent, repeatable fashion. And without that, I don't know where we would land, frankly. So that would be a problem. We've tried a lot of things, even making our own. And that's it. And the automation of the ticket notifications and monitoring alerts and stuff, that's been key to being able to adapt and make that move. When we talked briefly about staff, I know we're short on time. You and I were talking about one of the biggest transitions that we had to make as a provider was going from being an owner, operator. I got under the desk, I ran the cable, I did the stuff, to teaching the next guy the brand, to trusting to let the next guy represent the brand, whoever the next guy, girl, whoever it was. But one of the mistakes that I made was learning what impact I was making on my company. So I led with this, I want my company to look like this, and you will make my company look like this. You will build my castle the way I want my castle. And I didn't realize how disrespectful I was being to people at that time. I thought I was just being a strong leader. And instead I was being a strong emperor. I was not being a leader at all. And so when we finally decided to make the transition not to do home-based users, because we finally just outgrown that, and I wasn't doing that work. I had a lot of those people I did because I was soft and friendly and felt bad for them. Until my employees said, "Man, we're just not geared up for this, and we're frantically working to get Joe's house up because we got to get back to this manufacturer who's got a problem." And you didn't realize all the strain you were putting on them by making them carry this burden. And that was just one example. So when I was able to, by the help of a friend, open my mind to that, then my employees started to give me more feedback about those things, and frankly said, as much as you think we're helping these single veterans with their stuff, we're really setting them up to fail, because we're building systems and infrastructure for them that we're not supporting long term, which is going to cause them a problem instead of finding them a permanent solution. And you're like, oh yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm thinking I'm doing a great thing, and I'm really not. And that's it. You're never going to get there. I don't care how big you can sell. I don't care how many millions you make. You're still going to be empty on the inside if you're not doing it for the right reasons, getting the feedback. The feedback is ultimately what fills you up. That wow, these people care enough to help with the solution.
That's amazing. I think one of the biggest things you just hit on right there, and this is a topic I love getting those moments of feedback from my own peers. It's that moment where you can demonstrate the humility to be reflective in anything you're doing, right? What's going well? How can I get better? Where can I address some gaps? And then I think even when you go through this too, you also have an aha moment where people feel like, well, if somebody's giving me feedback, well, I need to apply it. That isn't true. I believe there also becomes an aha methodology of going, all right, let me filter this out, right? What makes sense, what doesn't? Because there's also that slippery slope where I think a lot of us fall into, of saying, oh, I got feedback, I need to do this, or oh, I need to go do this right now. And you're constantly spinning and iterating. So to me, on mine, it's great to hear where you've gone within the business, and as well as a leader, that you're willing to get the feedback and then make a very specific business decision. What is going to work well and what's going to be the impact in the business.
Yeah, let me give you so something that's popped to mind. You just hit me here with, it's great. Yep. That is specific to Datto, which is important. So before Autotask became Datto, and even through this process, we've always kept a very open dialogue. We've been here a long time. We've kept an open dialogue. That open relationship with a vendor, when you're in what my job is also super critical. And I will say, hands down, in our relationship here, like we talk about Steve, you and I, whoever we're dealing with. Yeah. I've had opportunities where Datto's rang my phone and said, we see you're doing X. Why are you doing it that way? I've actually had that happen. I'm like going, isn't that what the video said I should be doing it? And they're like, no, we don't understand why you were doing this at all this way. And it's really unusual for a vendor, frankly, who's selling something that's hey, I got X number of subscriptions. I pay per month. I pay on time. You don't hear from me. And you know what? But someone picks up the phone and goes, you're building your products like this, and that's going to be a problem, right? And you're like, no, I had no idea what I'm doing, and I'm grateful for that. It's one of the reasons why we've stayed, because of course, every 18 months, I get knocks on the door, the phone's blowing up. Hey, come over to here, go over there. I'm like, I'm not going to do it. It's a big leap for my business. And when someone feels like a partner, or when I can still call someone who has made their way up to the top of the organization, and he or she will return my call, no way am I leaving, because that is a relationship. No way am I thinking a change. Maybe I don't like a particular feature, but that's not enough, because ultimately what I need gets it done, and I get the answers back in a fashion that works. So there's value beyond compare there, and that's something we don't really talk about a lot, you and I. But that is a very specific data experience that I've had, even as they've become bigger, and that was one of our big concerns. Would they lose their personality? Would Autotask are we just a number? Are we just whatever? And that didn't happen for us. We could always still get the person on the phone.
It's awesome. And that's, I think, again, it speaks to our team's relentless pursuit of people and process and making connections, right? I think we all got just a really cool opportunity. I tell my team every single day, we've got such a great opportunity to lean in and to help so many people that are trying to help people in their business. Like, that's a cool opportunity. Like, where else can you put smiles on people's faces where they're going, I'm not quite sure where to go. I use this statement all the time, especially in today's world with social media and content, that, we live in a world where we're drowning with information, but we're just searching for some moments of wisdom where we really need it. And when we can drop that on folks, the ripple effect is huge, right? That's that pebble we just tossed in the ocean to have somebody going, man, that's cool. Thank you. Who knows how long that would have taken somebody to figure that out. But also across the team, just the willingness to put the hand up and go, yeah, let me help you out. And if I can't get it, I'll get you going the right direction. That's the person to person. And that's I think the humility of how people can help one another. So I got one more big one for you before we call the day here. I would love
big is relevant, by the way. Big is relevant. But anyway, size is relevant.
Yeah. I would love to get your advice. If you hit the rewind button, you've got the younger version of Big Mike now sitting on the other side of this screen. He's about ready to go on a really unique journey. He's about ready to call Central New York and Utica home. He's going to tackle some unique challenges with his family. He's going to start to build a business. What advice are you going to give him?
That's super easy. Think bigger, ask for help sooner, and go faster. That's it. Done. It's every day, all day. You had the right idea, but you didn't think nearly big enough, and you didn't go nearly fast enough, and you were too afraid to ask for help, because I can remember being afraid that someone was going to laugh at my idea, and that you're never going to make that happen, dude, or you can't possibly make a living at that. I mean, and part of that's because you got a dad who goes, the inter what? I remember he came home. I don't know how many beers he bought that day from the American Legion, but he came home and he said, "You sell the internet, right?" Nope. He's like, "No, you do. You have to, because I have a bet on this." I'm like, "Nope, I hate to tell you that. I'd love to." I think that was Al Gore, actually, but no, it's not me. But anyway, but I'm like, I can't help you with that, Pop. Sorry. And he was so upset. He understood so little what we did. But yeah, bigger, faster, and ask for help.
Awesome.
Put yourself out there. Be vulnerable, because you know what? You learn from the people that kick you too.
Yeah,
you do. You do. And people are going to kick you whether you make yourself vulnerable or not. That's the thing you don't know. That's the part that you don't realize. People are going to knock you down even when you're trying to defend yourself. So just go be vulnerable in the first place. It takes their fun away. It's not fun anymore. So
perfect.
All right.
Perfect. So today, if you put it in a nutshell, one thing I know it's going to hit on, and I'll keep it simple: be brave, all gas, no brake. Big Mike, thanks so much for joining us on MSP Insights.
Jeff, thanks, man. It's been a blast.